Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, LaVetta. Good afternoon, Mayor.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for inviting me over.
Absolutely. Glad to have you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming. I think, hold on one second. I think I made a mistake, LaVetta.
Did you have your wireless?
I had my Wi-Fi on.
Oh, boy.
I know. I did that.
Are you kidding me?
I know. So, before we get started, I am going to thank everyone. But today it's going to be a good show. We're going to talk about a few topics. Black History Month and what's going on in Hammond, and what's going on in Gary, Indiana for Black History. We're going to talk about the train. Got some train conversations. Going to talk about some legislation, a legislation review. I'm just very excited, LaVetta, to be sitting here next to one of the greatest mayors that I feel in our state.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm with great company.
Well, very controversial. But one of the things I like before we get started, I just want to give my condolences out to the mayor. You lost someone part of your family today.
Yeah, my little dog Max, 17 years old. Before I had to put him down this morning. So if I look a little under the weather, it was a rough morning. So.
Oh,
wow, I'm sorry
our
about
condolences.
That. Yeah, it sucked.
Absolutely.
It definitely sucked. But he's a good boy, and he was definitely hurting towards the end. It was obvious that we had to do something. So. Yeah. But like my whole family is devastated, obviously. So.
Right. Well, your son is what was he, like 8 or something?
Yeah.
When you first got him.
Yeah.
That is.
And he's well, Lindsay was 8 and she's 24. So it worked out. Yeah.
Wow.
16. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to give Judge McDermott a call and offer our condolences as
she is
well.
a mess. If Max was her dog, like I have my dog, I can't even imagine when that day comes. But anyway.
Okay. Absolutely.
So anyway, if I look a little under the weather, I apologize.
So as we sitting here, I guess we want to start off with LaVetta step away for a moment, Mayor. This is Black History Month out here. I know
we just had our celebration yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was nice. I gave a really good speech. I put it on Facebook, so.
I did. I got some.
It was a really good speech. I was clicking. Because all this stuff that's going on nationally with the immigration and, the thing about Hammond is, and I always talk about this, Hammond is probably one of the most diverse cities in America, and we get along. We do everything right, and I think that Donald Trump should visit Hammond and learn how to, work with other races and other backgrounds and just see how we do it, because it works, and we all get along, and our kids get along, and then you see what's going on nationally. It's just a disgrace, and so that was basically my speech yesterday. Donald Trump should learn from Hammond.
Okay.
And I am very sad.
President Trump, excuse me.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post you made on there talking about a bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
that was funny.
You don't care. You just go right in, right?
Yeah, I'm getting some blowback for sure. The President Trump supporters didn't like that joke very much.
Are you serious?
No.
Oh.
It's funny, I mean, President Obama was terrorized for 8 years by the Republican Party, and then you make one joke about President Trump and people want to string you up and run you out of town. It just...
That is true, because they was talking about Obama quite a bit.
But you know what's funny is, they forget. President Obama was terrorized by the right. And it's funny, and I cracked one joke. It was a funny joke, too. It was a Trump sandwich. Local deli offered it. It was a bologna sandwich with white bread and Russian dressing and a small pickle. I mean...
I could do you. But yes,
so I think your numbers are going down now.
I know, right? But thank you, LaVetta. So as we get people a chance to tune in, but one of the things I know we want to talk about a quick recap as far as letting everyone know how important it is to get involved. Mayor, we have been speaking about this since early January in terms of the voter suppression bill.
January 6th, I believe, we started talking about it. And no one was talking about it at the time that we started. Yeah.
No, it's true. I was watching your shows.
Yeah. So now people getting involved, calling the legislators. I mean, they got to the point that they stopped it. Now they're going to give us an opportunity. So I'm letting the public
Lake
know.
County Election Board, right?
County Election Board will, them and the Democratic
It's not going to
chair.
be an easy solution, though. I mean, the thing is, if we don't do it locally in Lake County, the legislature is going to do it for us.
Exactly.
So, but it's not an ideal situation right now with, the precinct organization. I was the county chair, as most people are probably aware, for 5 years. Nobody wants to lose their precincts.
Right.
And, the fact is, if we don't do something, the legislature will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I would rather have our Lake County Election Board drawing up these maps than Hal Slager and the supermajority down in Indianapolis. So it was a great job on your part. And it was nice of Hal Slager and the Republicans to say, you guys in Lake County take care of it. But just keep in mind, the election board's going to force precinct consolidation, and it's not, if they don't do it, the supermajority will.
But I was glad that our constituents got involved. They called their legislators, and they responded. The legislation did respond. So we're looking forward to continuing what we're doing, because people will say, you guys are complaining, or you're putting information out there, but you're not doing anything later. But no, we are. We're putting the information out there. We're following up, and we're going to let everyone know what happens as a result.
Well, the thing is, LaVetta, Councilwoman, excuse me, I think the way you guys did it was the right way to do it, because I've found over the years with the Republican supermajority is they don't really want to see us down there.
Right.
And they certainly don't really care what we think.
Right.
They don't.
Absolutely.
So the fact is, you guys sort of shamed them into letting us take care of it locally. And now the Lake County, residents of Gary, residents of Hammond, residents of East Chicago have to understand that there will be cuts to our precincts. And if we don't do it, the Republicans downstate will, and I would rather be in control of my own destiny. I know you guys probably feel the same way.
Absolutely. So then the second bill, House Bill 1350, the gaming tax bill that they threw in there. And you know what? For some reason, we didn't see that one the first go round. We caught it the night before the hearing on that particular bill. But Councilman, you want to tell us what happened with that one?
As far as the voter suppression bill?
No. Gaming taxes.
1350.
Oh my God, that was very interesting. And I know I started calling everyone. I know the mayor of Gary, she was on top of it. I saw you got what Hammond has, LaVetta. You have your own lobbyists
Every year.
every year. So
right.
they're down there already fighting for.
They keep us appraised once a week. We have conference calls with them, but I go down there. Usually I go down there a lot. I haven't been going down this year. I've only been down one time.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that it's good for me to keep my face out there, because they they like to beat up on Democrats from Lake County.
Oh my God!
The more you show your face, and they especially don't like it if you have an opinion. They just shut up and take it.
1350 would have took half of your revenue in terms of that admission tax. That would have took about half of you.
Well, we've done an analysis, and it hurts us, And keep in mind, though, it hasn't passed a committee yet, and as we all know,
I don't think it's going to pass now.
If it does,
they pulled it back.
They pulled it back, but they could still get it out of committee in time to get it passed by the House.
Okay.
But it's got a long way to go, and the thing about gaming, the saving grace for Gary and for Hammond, for East Chicago, for Michigan City, is in all Democratic cities, is if they do it to one of us, they have to do it to all the votes, and there are Republican votes in Southern Indiana that are just as affected as we are.
Exactly.
So hopefully,
And the thing that we saw about this one is that the author of the bill does not reside in a county or a city in which there is a casino.
Right.
So, why would you do that is
because
the question.
The scary thing is, LaVetta, he could be doing it for somebody like Brian Bosma. He could be just a good soldier. So and sometimes they want to. I remember one year Hammond got screwed from the General Assembly on the rental registration. That cost us $800,000.
Wow.
And they got this hired gun legislator to carry it, and the guy ended up ultimately getting indicted and kicked out of office. But this guy was like a robot, and he carried the bill, and we had no chance. We had a fire in Hammond where little kids died, and it was an illegal cut up. And we went down. It was like the next day I was going down. I'm like, see, this is a major problem.
Right.
And they still passed that bill, and they didn't care. They didn't care.
Right.
They didn't care the kids just died. They didn't care what I said. They didn't care if it was going to hamper our finances. They're just like, screw you.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I like you so much, because you're not afraid to buck the system.
No, I agree. For better, for worse.
For better, for worse. I think that's why we get along, because we don't mind bucking the system. And sometimes that's not a good thing. But hey, I'm good with it. But another bill we want to talk about was that the Gary school bill.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There's a lot of opinions, Mayor, as far as how that affects it. Like, I don't want to give my personal opinion quite yet, but like, what do you feel about that? How do you feel about
I mean,
the takeover?
The fact is, I mean, Gary schools have a bad situation with, I think, $100 million worth of debt that they owe, which is probably irrecoverable,
Right.
especially with declining enrollment, and the charter schools are rampant in Gary, which is taking a lot of money away from the public schools. So obviously they need some type of help. I don't know if there's bankruptcy options available, but I just don't like the fact that it seems like Gary's getting taken over. It seems like Indianapolis is going to be in charge of your schools, and I mean, for better or for worse, as Hammond's mayor, I would not like to see any takeover from the state or from private companies in the city I'm mayor of. I like being in control of the city, and I think the council likes being in control of the city. And it seems to me like there's a movement going on in Gary where, Councilwoman, your city seems to be getting taken over by either the state or by outside companies. And I don't know, and obviously I'm not the mayor of Gary. It's just my opinion. I wouldn't like it if that was happening in Hammond.
And that's a lead-in to our next subject, because with Gary schools, we as a council don't have any authority over them, just as you guys don't. We were in a pickle. We tried to pass a referendum.
Right.
The referendum didn't pass, and it would have given us more leverage in regards to this particular bill.
You know what I don't understand is I know Mayor Karen. She has friends Republican friends in the legislature that they respect Mayor Karen. Why wouldn't they let the mayor give her more control over the school? That way, the council and the mayor are both making decisions. It's just, I just don't like that. I don't know, when are the Republicans going to give it back? When is the downstate Republicans going to give it back? I mean, are they going to have it forever?
I think part of the problem, Mayor, is for so long we say we want help, right? And then when it's time to get help, we critique the ways they help. For example, we knew it was an issue, so we tried to get the referendum out here. The people that was against it said no, but no one gave us an alternative. Meaning we still going to have the shortfalls. They're still not meeting they can't even meet their payroll. So no one put anything out there to say, how do we fix that? So what they did, they went to the extent and said, you know what, this is something I really don't want to happen, but at this point, I don't see any other kind of way that's different than what Eddie is putting forward. Now, it's not good. This is not a win-win. This is not a win. We are, in essence, going to we will get taken over. That's unfortunate, but we don't really have any other choice at this time, because no one is really putting an alternative up, and it's hitting us to the core.
Have they ever thought about filing bankruptcy? I think you have to have permission from the state.
I don't think you
In
can.
the state of Indiana,
Yeah.
the law does not allow for bankruptcy to be filed in
Because
Indiana.
it affects the state finances.
I don't know the
for
reason
whatever
for it.
reason, we just don't have it. Like Detroit, they do have an
Right,
allowance for them to file bankruptcy.
and quite
but
frankly, they did it successfully too.
they did.
Right.
And they're better off for it.
They're better off. I don't know if the citizens or the former employees think that
Well,
they
yeah.
are, but everybody took a hit.
Right, everybody took a hit, right.
But they did come up out of it. So
I think, that's something to look at.
It's a sad situation. Though.
Yeah,
I mean, the
it
fact
is.
is, it's important. I was listening to WLTH yesterday, and there was and I forgot the gentleman's name, but a famous Gary coach that broke the world record for the long jump.
Coach Willie Williams
he was out there.
and Coach Earl Smith.
It was a great
Earl
show.
Smith broke the long jump.
Yeah.
He had like 23 feet and some change. And then Willie Williams actually broke whose time did he break?
I just heard it yesterday.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, gosh.
Carl Owens?
No. Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens. There we go.
Jesse Owens. At the time, Jesse Owens' record was 10-2, and he ran a 10-1.
That's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then they were talking
Yeah.
about like how great it was when they were in
Yeah,
school, and
absolutely.
how everybody would go out and watch the football games.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's sort of the Gary Public Schools have been decimated by charters and by, the people that fled the city, and it's just sad. It's a tough situation.
It is.
And I mean, obviously, the tough decisions need to be made. I'm sure, I appreciate Senator Melton stepping up and trying to help. And the one thing I've learned over the years as being mayor is it's tough to lead. And in this case, Senator Melton came up with a proposal. It seems like it's got support. Not everybody's going to support it. I mean, and Eddie's going to learn that. That's part of being the leader, is when you come forward with a plan, it's going to be critiqued. And it's not, doesn't mean that you don't like Eddie. It's just, it's a tough situation.
Right.
I mean, I just don't see when the Republicans are going to give the school city back.
Well, actually,
they had 5 years down there. And the thing is, I think this is a segue to our next topic of the buying 3,700 parcels.
Redevelopment Commission.
Redevelopment Commission.
The private company, Raya company?
Mayaco.
The proposal is actually the number MAIACO.
And that's the one
and
that's
it's the
Mayor Daley's.
company that is headed by Mayor Daley. He's
Right.
a partner in it. They are at this time in the middle of transferring 3,624 properties over to the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission will own the property, but supposedly Mayaco is going to put up the front money to invest and get the title search and do the demolition and things like that.
So expand on that. Tell me exactly. Expand on that for a second, right? So we did the city of Gary redevelopment just got 36.5 something like that, 100 parcels from the county, from the tax sale. So who pays for that right now? Mayaco?
That's a good question, because in the article that the Northwest Indiana Times did, they were saying that Mayaco was going to be paying for it, but the numbers didn't add up, because they were saying that they were going to be investing $1 million into the property and $1 million into something else. And with those properties, they're $1,000 a piece to do the transfer of deed. Okay. So if we're looking at $1,000 a piece, that would add up to $3.6 million up front just for those properties. So the numbers aren't adding.
So in essence, Mayaco said, we'll buy the properties. Okay, we'll do the redevelopment. So they'll make money off the redevelopment. The city of Gary will reimburse them for the initial cost. So what is Mayaco doing for us? I mean, unless I'm missing this, if I am, someone call in and tell me I'm wrong.
I have no words. I mean, I really don't. And Mayor Tom, I know that you have been through. You have a redevelopment commission as well. Tell us the difference between how we operate our redevelopment in Gary as opposed to yours in Hammond.
Well, you and I, from a council person's perspective, you want you have 2 out of 5, right? We're the same redevelopment commission. So there's 5 members of the redevelopment commission. 3 are appointed by the mayor. 2 are appointed by the council, which makes sense because the mayor is the mayor for a reason.
Right.
Karen was elected to lead the city, so she should have more than the council. However, the council appointees, and I'm not sure who they are, and I'm not criticizing because they could be doing a great job, but their job is to report back to the council these questions you have, Councilwoman.
Right.
I mean, that's the job of the 2 people that you chose to be on the redevelopment commission, to bring information back to answer your questions. And if they're not doing that, they're not doing their job.
Well,
you're not supposed to be 5-0 and then nobody's talking to the council.
Right.
The fact is, it's supposed to be. Ours are 5-0, but I know for a fact the 2 council appointees, they do a really good job of communicating with the council.
Ours does not.
No, they got it to a degree at the council meeting. Joe Van Dyke, this will show you how disrespectful they are. Joe Van Dyke.
The appointees from the council?
No, the redevelopment, director had called one of his contractors up to discuss the theory of TIF and the purposes of TIF and the understanding of TIF. He got on that floor, proceeded to argue with one of our representatives. He argued, man. Like, he was like pretty much saying, shut up, you don't know anything. No one said anything.
He was saying it to a council person?
To a council person.
Yes.
Which council person?
Me.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. My redevelopment coordinator is Phil Talon.
Okay.
He is charming. He is nice. Phil would never be disrespectful to a council person because I would not tolerate that. I would not tolerate that.
And let me get it clear. It wasn't Joe Van Dyke. It was one of the contractors.
Oh, I wouldn't do business. Can you imagine that though? That contractor wouldn't be working for my city.
Exactly. I would say it was Joe Van Dyke because he's his boss. Joe Van Dyke is his boss. At any point in time, Joe Van Dyke can say, hey, that's not acceptable.
Right.
So if you're trying to do development here, like for example, Joe Van Dyke come and give us suggestions and say, hey, I think this would be good for our city. Okay? Joe Van Dyke does that. And then you have one of the contractors who's supposed to have the best interest of heart come and talk to one of our representatives that we elected in a manner that's disrespectful and demeaning. So for that, I don't want to hear anything Joe Van Dyke has to say, because I don't think that he doesn't have the best interest of Gary at heart. Okay, a lot of people they go get a job and they get paid. In a public office, we're all aware you don't make that much money. We do this out of love.
Right.
I know you do this out of love. It's loving your community. So with that being said, as we talking about pretty much the school district, LaVetta, we're losing a lot of power, a lot of rights in our school system. We have charters coming in. And then we have Monaco. Pretty much it seemed like we selling off the city of Gary. Now we have this train ordeal. We already discussed that we don't have any money.
Right.
City of Gary doesn't have any money. We're $100 million under assessed value. We're carrying a $9 million structural deficit. Okay? We're selling off our school system. We're selling off our city. Title I, can we go over that? Being uncompliant. LaVetta, if you don't mind reading that one portion of Title VI.
Title VI.
Title VI. As she looked that up. What that says, ladies and gentlemen, how we're not in compliance in this portion. Now, you can always argue both ways about this, but here's where I'm at. LaVetta, if you don't mind taking over on this.
Okay, so we're talking about Title VI of the Civil Rights Act in regards to whether or not the Westlake Corridor extension of the train is going to be in compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. And basically what they're saying is examples of non-compliance: denying someone service, financial aid, or other benefit provided through a program through federal funds, providing a service or benefit to an individual which is inferior either in quantity or quality to that provided to others in the program.
Yes, sir.
Providing someone with a service or benefit in a manner different from others under the program. Subjecting someone to segregation or separate treatment in any way related to the receipt of services or benefits under the program. Restricting someone in any way from receiving any advantage or privilege enjoyed by others under the program. Setting up different standards or conditions as prerequisites for accepting an individual to a program. Permitting discriminatory activity in a facility. Failing to provide services or info, that one doesn't apply to us. Failing to advise the population eligible to be served or benefited by the program about the existence of the program.
Get to this part right here, because that's the main thing.
That's the main one. Establishing a facility in a location that in any way limits or impedes access to a federally funded service or benefit.
So at the end of the day, it's that last part. Establishing a facility in a location that in any way limits or impedes access to a federally funded service or benefit. I think that one does apply to this situation. So we add all these things up to the train. And like I said, for the city of Gary, my district, I do not believe we benefit from the train. And that's why I'm fighting for it, regardless of what other people say. And I know you have your reasons. I know at one point in time, Mayor, you was against the train. But the establishment pretty much says this train is going to happen. I
agree.
I have to commend you.
What
did you do?
Well, I played hardball. I had to, because this is Hammond's only chance. The extension's going to go from Hammond down to Dyer. This is our only chance to get a bite at the apple. Once it extends down to Dyer, it's going to go from Dyer to Lowell and Dyer to Valparaiso. If we don't participate now in Hammond, we're never going to be able to participate at all. So if I think it's going to go through, I agree with the councilman. I think it's going to happen. And if, what am I supposed to do? Stand on the sidelines and watch all the development bypass us, or try to get a good deal for my city?
So if you wasn't getting a good deal for your city, would you still go for the
No, I would give them zero.
So that's our point.
They believed me too. If they didn't, we were asking for something I thought was very reasonable. And
what did you get?
We got what we were asking for, which is combining the lines in Hammond. By touching those two lines together in Hammond, we build a new station, and that's a different route through our city. And it was a more expensive option, but it just made more sense, because I kept on bringing up the Gary Airport. I said, what if you're in Dyer and you want to take the South Shore train to the Gary Airport? How do you do that? if they didn't touch those lines, you would have to go all the way to Chicago, get off the train in Chicago, get back on another train, and then go to the Gary Airport.
So it kind of benefits you guys, like Jeff Miller just said. It benefits Hammond. So I understand your argument. So by no means, I don't think we saying Tom.
It's different. It's different. Hammond and Gary are
Every
different.
area. Right. It's totally different.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw Mayor Kern under the bus. I just, if you look at East Chicago and Gary, I think both of them are getting about the same from this extension, which is really nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And Mayor Copeland has been asked multiple times to participate,
And he's decided not to.
absolutely.
And he's,
We have a caller, guys. MX. He's over.
MX. MX called my show twice today. What's up, MX?
Am I on the air?
You're on
yes, you
air.
are.
Well, it's nice to see you, Mayor Tom, in a relaxed environment next to Jamal Washington and LaVetta Sparks Wade.
I love MX. We have a man
you know
crush.
what? We're doing the best we can. I hope in the end we can all let this go and be the way it was. I've got a few questions.
Sure.
The first one is, what is the train actually going to do for us?
In Hammond?
For the amount of money we're going to spend?
In Hammond? Or for a region?
Well, because everybody's putting the money in. What's the train going to do? What's the train's main function?
Well, in Hammond, I could tell you it's going to give us probably $200 million of investment into one focused area, which badly needs redevelopment. Okay? So, I mean, from Hammond's perspective, I'm being selfish, in my opinion, MX. I think the train is going to target a part of our city, because MX is a Hammond resident, to target.
Hessville.
Yes, sir. Start part of Hammond.
That sounds like a Miller guy, right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's how Hammond is. Hammond's got Robertsdale. So anyway, I live in Woodmar, but Gary's got neighborhoods out there. So.
We do. Glen
so,
Park.
Glen Park, right. But anyway, so it's going to focus into North Hammond, a part of North Hammond that badly needs reinvestment. I'm being sort of selfish because I think Hammond really benefits, especially in that part of the city. I understand from a larger perspective, MX, and a lot of people are like, hey, I think we're spending way too much money, probably $700-800 million on an 8-mile extension. I get that. I get that argument, but in my opinion, this train's going to happen whether I support it or not. So I figured, if they're going to spend $700-800 million and Hammond doesn't see a penny of it, I felt like I was being negligent. So I jumped on the train.
I understand.
Okay, here's what I got. From everything Vislotsky says, it's going to bring economic development to the city. Now, as you can see, I don't see around any train station anywhere where it has brought economic development. I want to bring another point up, Mayor. I want to stick up for you. For one, you're getting over legislated. That Bill 1618 took money from Gary Casinos, East Chicago, and Hammond.
Yes, sir.
That was Hal Slager, Bill 1618. Now, we've got another bill called 1315 that just came out. It's supposed to carve $18 million a year from the three cities. It'll probably carve $10 million from us. But from what I'm saying, you said that we had to shut the city court down for our seated portion of this train. Now they're going to carve $10 million more out for this train. I think in the end we've got to weigh that out, and I think truthfully you will, because you're a very intelligent man. Here's another thing too. I really believe that Mayor Karen got a grant from HUD to build a fire station. That tells me Gary is broke and they can't support the train. One of the things I found out, and I mentioned this to you, Mayor, was Councilman Jeff Decker is only going to give 15% of the seated match to the train, which is only $366,000 compared for 30 years compared to our $27 million. As I read this week in the paper, Mayor Karen went down to the state for funding because Gary's broke. I really think, deep down in my heart, we're taking money away from schools and city services for this train. I mean, look at now, Mayor Copeland has to have a referendum for the schools. Munster has a referendum for the schools. If you know what, we got a train. If I could see any economic development that it brought back money, like $10 million a year. You know, Jeff Miller is probably one of the sharpest people on the site, and so is Chuck and Ken. The South Shore is going to get $15 million for next year from the state to run the train. Once the train is up, we'll have to feed the train of the South Shore extension to keep it running. So my concern is, if it made any profit at all, I probably wouldn't. But it does make profit. And you know what? Being a single line train.
Hey, MX,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Hey, we got all your points, but we don't have that much more time on the show. So we're gonna talk about the train a little bit more, but that's okay. Is there anything else you want to say before we have to go?
Well, I want to thank Mayor Tom for being so understanding and everybody else. You know, we've really got to sit down and think about all this before we put the old man MX in debt forever.
Yeah, right. Thanks, MX.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
You know, MX brought up something that he brought up about the grant for the firehouse. Mm-hmm. I just built a firehouse. I didn't get a grant. Okay, but I want to point something out though. I think I'm trying to justify why Karen did what she did, what Mayor Freeman Wilson did. Okay, the thing I think she was afraid of is Pete Wiskowski, and he is very, very invested in this, and in my opinion, he punishes Hammond because of me, because of the stances I take that he doesn't agree with. So he's like, okay, Mayor, I'm going to teach you a lesson. We don't get anything from him. We don't. He doesn't bring any bacon home for Hammond.
Well, I don't know.
But Karen gets a new firehouse for her. God bless. At least you're getting something from the federal government.
I can see this happening, Mayor, because this is what I heard the other day. I heard that Mark Lopez, was this his chief?
Yeah, he's like the chief of staff, right?
Yeah, his chief of staff is calling people and asking them to go to my next council meeting and protest to me.
Oh, really?
So, and that can only be because of my stance on his train, because I don't know Mark. I haven't said anything to Mark. I've never done anything to Mark, if this is true.
If this is
true. But if it is true, then
Mm-hmm.
I can see exactly what you're saying as far as the establishment thinking they can manipulate the people understanding. And so that could be the case, trying to use it through the media. But at the end of the day, I do want to say you are doing a really good job.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you're vocal. You're going against the establishment when it needs to. I mean, you can tell you're passionate, and that means you love your city.
Right.
My residents give me a good backbone too. Mm-hmm. You know, MX, we don't agree on this issue.
Right.
He's been a constant supporter / vocal. I mean, guys like MX. I have a lot of MXs. Well, only one MX. Sorry, but I have a lot of people like that are involved and they care and they're going to watch me. And if I mess up, they tell me about it. And MX and I probably agree on 99% of the issues. This is one him and I think he's sort of let down that I'm doing what I do, but he's a great person. And Hammond has a lot of great people, and it helps me do my job better.
And the thing is, you stated that the city of Gary, Mayor Karen has with Pete Wiskowski, you know, we may have some vested interest in making sure that monies from the federal government come to the city of Gary because of our fiscal condition right now. However,
well, is the money coming because of the fiscal condition, or is it because she's a team player?
And that's the thing, because with Hammond, you guys are still getting things done without the federal government's assistance.
We don't. I can't tell you the last time. I mean, okay, like road projects, you can't really count that. That comes through NERC.
You can't exactly.
Okay, all right. We all do that at NERC. Exactly. Karen Freeman's really good about attending and doing that also.
Right.
But like grants for the firehouse.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody called me from. You know, Lopez didn't call me. Wiskowski didn't call me. They don't. I think so. Like I'm trying to justify when Mayor Karen supports the train.
This is a firehouse in my district.
Good.
We had 2 firehouses in the 6th district. Both of them were shut. Then our firefighters moved over to the Calumet Township shelter, and that's where they're being housed right now. For a while, they were actually stationed in Maryville to provide service for the Glen Park area. Well, another situation with the Gary schools, they gave us the former Pittman Square area. School used to be there. They gave us that lot, and they turned it over to us. So there
brand new firehouse.
To build a brand new firehouse.
Is it under construction yet? Or?
No, it's not. It's been under construction for the last 2 years, and they haven't dug not
Really?
one.
I hate to
yet.
depress you. We started a firehouse. We put it under construction in like September, and it's going to be open in August. I'm not trying to make you mad, Councilwoman. It's
We're
just,
working on it. We're working
but
on
you know
it.
what though?
We're working
Honestly
on it.
though,
Yeah.
with federal money, it's
Yeah.
a lot more complicated. We're
Yeah.
doing ours with our
Yeah.
own money. Okay,
Yeah.
we used the TIF district actually to build this firehouse.
Well, here's the thing our listeners probably thinking as well. When you said play ball. Okay, yes, they're giving us a grant. How much is that grant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that grant?
Is it 100%? They're paying for the firehouse.
Well, even if there was,
That's
let's
a
say
solid grant though. If that's the case, I mean, kudos to Mayor Karen.
how much? If they are,
If they
how
are.
much is that?
I'm saying
$1 million?
No, I'm not
'Cause that's
sure how much it
huge.
is, and I should have the specificities of it. But I thought part of it was a loan as
Okay.
well.
Oh, okay.
And we had to put up the land, some additional land, because we were trading off with the school system,
Okay.
with the school district, and so we had to put up some additional land. So it's been taking a long period of time.
I think our firehouse is at $4 million, right around there, and it's a
Okay.
big one though. It's going to be in Hessville. It's in MX's neighborhood. Funny enough, and it's a brand new. It's the first brand new firehouse we built in Hammond since '70s.
That's awesome. See,
Yeah.
you doing those kind of things out there. My biggest thing is with the amount of money we're feeding into the train, we can use that for those reasons.
Right.
So it's not like you doing anything for us,
Right,
right?
exactly.
When we could have done this ourselves.
And
So-
public safety is supposed to be the number one reason why government even exists.
That's the civil city's main job.
Exactly.
Right.
And if we can't provide those types of basic services for our citizens, and instead, and as far as I'm concerned, giving the city away to folks like Myaco and Jupiter and things like that, we have a serious problem.
You know, the thing is, honestly, Councilwoman, in my opinion, like about the redevelopment commission, going back to earlier, I think that the council needs to demand more accountability from your two appointees, and that doesn't mean to fight. Like our redevelopment commission, it's 5-0.
Right.
We work with the council. I want the
Right.
council to be included, and we cater to the council, to the two votes, basically, because I want it. When I took over as mayor, my redevelopment commission was 3-2. The former one, before I took over, it was 3-2, and it was a huge fight every
Right.
2 weeks. It was embarrassing. And I went in, I said, I don't want 3-2. I know I could win every time, but I don't want to
Right.
win 3-2. I want it to be
Exactly.
5-0. I want us to work together.
Right.
And I tell you, I can't even tell you the last time it was even 4-1. It doesn't happen. It's 5-0
let me ask you-
because we actually tried. I want the council to be invested like we are.
Exactly.
Makes my job easier if the council's
If
on
you
board.
working
I don't want
together.
a ticked off council person.
Right.
You know, that's the worst. That's the last thing I
No,
want.
are you kidding?
That's the last thing I want, Councilwoman. I work hard so that my council. I have a couple council people that don't see eye to eye with me. In fact, 3 of them out of 9. So I really work on the other 6 because I want the 6 to be invested with us.
Let me ask you a question, Mayor. So, you know, they have this bill coming up that's supposed to make it harder for the eminent domain, but at the end of the day,
For the rail.
it's
right.
still going to happen.
That
right?
that's being passed because of another project though. That was
Okay.
the
Oh, is
GLTB. That was the big. They want to do the big ring around. It's that.
Oh, I don't know.
Actually,
about
you know that whole proposal. That's about. It's going to start over in like LaPorte, and it's going to go way south out into Lowell. But it's basically they want to build a rail bypass around the region, so that I hear stats about freight trains that come from California. It takes longer for them to get through Chicago on a train than it does to get from California to Chicago. Once they get to Chicago, it's a gridlock. And what they want them to do is build a bypass around the region. And it's called GLTBA.
But right now, Dyer is standing to lose 11 homes
On the South Shore, true.
on the South Shore.
Right.
If that was the case in Hammond, would you still be for the train?
Hammond, we're going to probably have to take out 200 homes. Councilman.
200 homes.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you serious?
Are you serious?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So 200 families
Yeah.
are going
Wow.
to be
Yeah.
displaced
Oh, yeah.
because
Absolutely.
eminent
Wow.
domain will be in effect
It has to be.
because of the train.
Yeah.
So what plan do they have? Is not going to be a city issue. It's
And
a
we've
federal
been,
issue,
and the
right?
thing is, honestly, I've been very upfront. The neighborhood knows the neighborhood it's an entire
Wow.
neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
It's an entire
Wow.
neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
yes.
it
So
be.
who's going to give them new homes? I mean, who's
Well, no,
that?
I mean, we have to go through the process, and
Okay.
the owner of the home gets their fair market value.
Okay.
We did something in Hammond where we're going to give $5,000 extra to homesteader to homesteader. So let's say, Councilwoman, your home is being
Right.
bought by the through eminent
Wow.
domain. You would get the market value of a home, plus the city of Hammond would say, because you're a homeowner, I'm going to give you an extra 5,000 if you use that 5,000 to buy another home in Hammond.
Wow.
How
We
are
did
you
that
financing
specifically.
that?
We did that
How
out
are
of
you
mayor's,
financing that?
mayor's gaming money.
Is that right?
It's
Wow.
important to me because I want the residents to know we love them. But this is progress. I feel like this is progress, especially in the neighborhood we're talking about. there's beautiful homes and there's really shabby homes. And, you know, it's a neighborhood that badly needs investment. And this is a massive overhaul of a part of my city that needs an overhaul. So I'm being selfish, okay?
You're supposed to be.
I'm being selfish for Hammond.
You're the mayor of
this
the
is,
city.
This
Absolutely.
is a dramatic. It's like Councilwoman taking a neighborhood that's struggling and saying, when this is done, it's going to be shiny and new.
Right.
It's going to be brand new with $200 million in investment. And they're talking about, and MX was talking about TOD, and I hope they're right. They're saying that TOD is going to follow, and people are going to want to live in Chicago, and they're going to want to live close to the train. I hope they're right. We're betting a lot of money that they're right, and that's what they're telling us. And I'm not an expert. I'm just looking, and I'm like, I hope you guys are right, but I do know that neighborhood's going to be overhauled, and it needs it.
Okay.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow. One of the things I want to talk about is Black History Month, Mayor. I was doing some research in the county in terms of the demographics in terms of being in compliance for minority businesses. Do you have anything in place right now in Hammond? Then I'll discuss what I'm trying to do in Lake County.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'm sure we do. We always have for MB.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
we always have preference for that, especially on federal projects.
Okay.
If you got federal money coming through, we have to follow their requirements, and I know they incentivize minority and women-owned businesses. So
Okay. Well, we have nothing in the county.
Yeah.
I was doing research last few weeks, and
do you
we have
guys
nothing.
do you guys get a lot of federal money for county projects though?
We
Is
get
it-
some, and they
Yeah.
got the legislation right now that's going to let us trade off federal dollars for state dollars. You know about that one.
Good.
So that's going to be beneficial. But just in general for Lake County for contractors, I think that's very important. We have 37% of Lake County is minorities. So to help or to be more, have better equity across the board, I should say, I think this is huge.
Yeah, Hammond's. We have 45% Caucasian. We have 30% Hispanic, 25% African American. How diverse is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a diverse
Wow.
city. And you know, the thing, honestly, I've been mayor for 13 years. I'm in my 14th year.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think of an instance of racism. And I'm sure there's racism, don't get me wrong. But like no graffiti, no like instances where kids are kicked out, or we just don't have that. Like honestly, maybe Hammond had that in the 80s when we were going through a lot of changes, maybe in the 90s. But now, if you're there, I mean, everybody's real comfortable. I'm comfortable. I mean, my kids are comfortable, So
Absolutely.
it's sort of a nice little town in that regard,
Well, I will sponsor. I am sponsoring ordinance with a friend of yours, Dave Ham. So we're
Good
gonna,
friend of mine.
Good friend.
Yeah,
We're going
he's
to
great.
sponsor
Great councilman.
ordinance to get us a mechanism, to put a mechanism in place to make sure we're in compliance
Good for you.
with MBD.
Good for you.
So I'm very excited for that. That's
Yeah.
going to help our county. Very, very excited. We talked about, again, we're about to wrap up show. If you want to
Yes.
call in before we close out.
I heard Commissioner Repay call in a couple weeks ago. I was jealous.
Yes, he
I was
did.
jealous. You're not calling me up.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So he did speak.
Yeah.
Speaking about Commissioner Repay.
I like the setup though. It's really nice. The high tech equipment.
I know, right?
I'm like, where's the camera? Oh, that's the camera. Okay.
We're using my phone.
Yeah.
Some days we use the leader's
Really?
phone.
Really?
We're sitting in the kitchen.
I was expecting to see like lights and everything. Like,
Shoestring
Where do we do
budget.
this? Where's-
Shoestring
yeah,
budget.
it works,
And
it
then
works.
we had to turn that light off because it was a glare. We got it down.
Before I get on the county chair, I do want to talk about Klein Avenue because you
Yeah.
are someone that has been standing up for that. And when I was
Yeah.
on that board with you, we was fighting it together. What is the status on that? And why are they so rude to us in Lake County? Because when I talked to him, the guy told me, I have nothing to say to you.
Yeah.
You need to talk to Copeland. What deal
he
is he
said the
talking
same
about?
thing to me during an NERC meeting.
Did
He
so
did.
what
He
are you
wasn't
talking
disrespectful. He was a meeting, but he was like, "It's not on my radar because it's not our problem anymore. It's Copeland's problem."
And
I'm like,
who was
you know,
this that said that?
This is one of the leaders of INDOT.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to tell him his name. He's we've had great people at NERC. Everybody's represented. Okay, Gary's represented by I think Councilwoman Brown and Mayor Karen. Hammond. I think I'm the only one from Hammond there, other than Bill Emerson, former Hammond guy. But anyway, so we're in there, and I brought it up. I was like, "What's going on Klein Avenue?" I went by it the other day. I didn't see anything out there. I saw one construction trailer that's been there for a year.
Right.
Nothing's going on.
Right.
And he basically said, "Not our problem, Mayor. INDOT. Talk to Copeland." I'm thinking, Copeland's got a couple things on his plate right now.
Right.
He's got a super fun site with people living on it and a school that's abandoned because of it. This guy's dealing with a lot. He's not getting much help from the state at all, right? And now, oh, by the way, Cope, in addition to your Superfund site and the kids and the poisoned atmosphere, we also want you to build Klein Avenue Bridge. I said, you know what would happen in Hammond?
Did they give him money, or I mean, I don't understand what deal are they talking about?
They basically gave him a developer that's probably never. The thing is, if Klein Avenue Bridge is ever built, this is their plan. It's like 350 tolls each direction. Each direction. So if you're a worker that needs to use Klein Avenue Bridge to get to, one of the steel mills or BP, or that's your easiest route to Chicago, $7 a day. I will drive around that bridge the rest of my life out of
Go
spite.
get on the train.
Unless I'm bleeding. If I'm bleeding or something, I'll just take the train. Right?
I'm sorry, I just think the train is
that was the advantage of having Klein Avenue, and there was a lot of traffic that was using it.
Right.
People were using it to get over to the boats as well.
LaVetta,
And
that is, when that went down, gaming is vital for all the communities, okay?
Yes.
I mean, it's all about, why is Horseshoe the best?
Right.
And it's not because, it is a great product. I'm not going to diss on the product, but like, we're the closest to Chicago.
Exactly.
I mean, we could,
Easy access.
Gary could have 3 times as big and 3 times as nice
That's
with 3
right.
times the entertainment, and they would struggle because we're closer to Chicago.
Exactly.
So it's not because we're great in Hammond or we steal the cards differently. It's because we're the closest. So when Klein Avenue Bridge went down, you crippled the Chicago gambler coming to East Chicago, and you crippled the Chicago gambler coming to Gary. They're just not going to go that far. They're not going to take the Daniels detour to get to your boats.
And we can probably see a correlation during that time to compare the gaming monies
Total
when the bridge went down, as well as.
And I bet you, LaVetta, Councilwoman, I bet you could also show your loss has been Hammond's gain.
Yeah,
I mean, I bet you Horseshoe's done
you
better.
guys been killing us on that money.
Let's get it clear. You can stop saying LaVetta. We're all friends.
I know we are, but I'm always respectful.
Okay.
Especially when we're on TV.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm always respectful about
on TV.
Yeah.
Call me Jay, call me Jamal. We're on my phone, TV. But while we talk about that, there's a bill, Mayor. I want to know how you feel about this bill, a proposed bill, as far as making it possible for your public safety officers to live in the state of Illinois. Now, you're a huge advocate about staying in Hammond.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
We
it?
should be going the other way.
Yeah,
We should be going the other way.
We
We
should.
got
You know how this all started?
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
so the fact that police and firemen aren't allowed, and teachers, they should all live in Gary.
Yeah.
They should all live in Hammond.
I
okay?
agree.
That-
Exactly.
You know how this started? Is let's say a community like Carmel, where it's super expensive to live,
Yeah.
right? So like back in the old days, I don't even know when this changed. Let's say it's back in the 50s.
Okay.
When you had to live in a place like Carmel, a police officer that was a Carmel police officer couldn't afford to live in Carmel.
Exactly.
So they said, scrap the whole system.
Exactly.
You could live anywhere.
Exactly.
But what that did to communities like Gary and Hammond and East
Exactly.
Chicago is these are backbones to your community. And we allow them to take Gary money
Right.
and live in Lakes of the Four Seasons or live in Porter County.
Right.
It's
And now live in Illinois. If that passes, they could live in Illinois.
we're going the wrong direction.
definitely
If I ever
are.
become governor, and I will change that.
Absolutely.
I'll-
And I will grandfather everybody in. I'm not going to make everybody move back to the Hammond.
Right.
But I tell you what, you make a decision. If you want to be a Gary police officer, it's a great job. If you want to be a Gary teacher, it's a great job.
Absolutely.
You got to live in Gary. And how great would that be? By the
Exactly.
way, over the years, that means you'd have more firemen and policemen living in Gary, living in Hammond. That's how you rebuild community.
Absolutely.
These great jobs, we're allowing them to leave. It makes no sense.
It just like us, like you said, we're already starving. We don't have any money. We don't have money, say Gary, and now we're trying to fund a train that, to me, I do not see the benefit for my district. I do not see the return on investment like you might see. I don't see.
One of the
that,
gentlemen
so.
just said the citizens of Gary probably aren't qualified to hold that job, and that's crazy. And you know what? My dad was mayor in the 1980s. Okay,
Right.
My dad, I told him when I first took over as mayor, I said I'm going to require residency on and we require residency on all citizens, all employees outside of police and fire. Okay, and my dad, his initial reaction was, "Tom, you're not going to do that. You're not going to find qualified people." And I found that's totally wrong. First off, and I love my dad. And my dad was a great mayor in his time. Okay, but like, if it's the right job, people will move there for it.
Yes, they will. And not only that, but we will begin to recruit better applicants in the city of Gary from the Gary School Corporation.
Hold on.
Here,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay. I introduced a bill last year.
I follow you, Councilwoman.
Thank you so much.
You're a champion for residency.
Absolutely.
Your residents should appreciate you
Yeah,
for that.
absolutely. We are, as much as we possibly can, wanting to build up our tax base. And so I introduced an ordinance giving additional points to those Gary residents who were applying for public safety positions. And it's like, really, guys, we can't even do that. Here you are down in the state legislature trying to trump the efforts that we're making.
Let me point out a few things, and I'm not trying to name drop anybody, but for example, Beaucamp. To what a good friend of mine, Dee Anders, said, that a lot of people are saying that no one lives here, right? That's qualified. So what you do, to what Mayor Thomas said, you create a situation that you attract more residents. Now, we have made millionaires, and they still haven't moved here. That's an issue. For example, Bo Kemp, Bobby Kemp, whatever his name is, he's a millionaire because of what he's doing here and labeling himself as an advocate for the city of Gary, and that's not the case. And there's other individuals that fall along the same line.
Right.
I think the mayor, Karen, I think she's a great person. A lot of people that she surrounds herself with, I think have the wrong intention. And for that, I don't like. So we have a millionaire now, Bo Kemp, that's presented the Mayako deal, pretty much supporting the fact of selling off a city. He doesn't understand the history or anything. He is minimalizing the efforts of getting true redevelopment out here. Because now you're just going to center point it on one person or one group, Mayako. Then if you investigate Mayako, you see who works for Mayako. Who are the investors in Mayako?
Who are the partners
Who's the
in
partners?
Mayako?
I mean, at this point, I'm not trying to say anything, but everyone understood. If you understand, then you're part of the system. But that's wrong.
Well, it was in a newspaper. Okay?
Oh, it was in a newspaper.
This is not, new information. I only know because I read the newspaper article.
Right.
Our former director of the airport, she was an acting director, and she was also the chief of staff for a little while. Her name is B.R. Lane. And so she was in the administration for quite some time. Then she went over to Illinois, took a job with the Illinois Lottery. Now she's back as a consultant with a company that is a partner of Mayako. When you're dealing with government, that just does not look right. And if we're going to make, for instance, millionaires, allow everybody an opportunity to get involved in the situation. Mayako has an exclusive contract with the Redevelopment Commission. 3,624 properties.
And then they make deals on the redevelopment and do not, they're signing contracts, Mayor, and it's legal without going to the city council.
Absolutely.
And come back and say we need more funding. And at the end of the day, the people that's making decisions to do this are the people that's not vested in the city, and those are the same people that try to minimize or make us feel like in the city of Gary we're stupid or we cannot get these jobs. And I do not believe that. I believe in my city, and I believe, do we have some idiots? Yes, we do. Everybody do.
But
at least 90% are great out here.